Exodus has done something new. Now, for anybody who's just checking in with us on this game, this is a third-person space-based RPG that plays with space travel, time dilation, heavy character story, and a whole bunch of lore. This is the kind of game that I feel cannot have a small release. Because whenever you get some industry heavyweights that come out with a whole bunch of lore before they start showing the game, you can trust they're going to show the game because they know game development, right? They can actually create a game. Some games will show you a bunch of lore and you're like, okay, cool, but is this actually going to be a cool game? Now, we don't know if Exodus is going to be a great game, but I can tell you the lore is incredibly deep and it seems like they're building a lot of game functionality to reflect that lore. So it's looking really exciting. We have talked about this a few times on the channel now. I'll be making a Space Tomato video about this soon. But today there is a bit of a live stream highlight video here looking at some stuff that has happened. I have no idea what this is, but it's with Carnage. I'm excited to see what it is. And we'll continue following Exodus after this. Hope you enjoy.
So today we are taking a very special look, not only at the game itself, but also some of the world first gameplay. Let's go ahead and meet the team.
I'm Chad Robertson, the general manager at Archetype Entertainment. I'd like to introduce James Olin, our studio head. James.
So yeah, I'm the head of the studio and the creative head for the...
Holy crap. Wait, what the heck? Why is Tim Miller here? Okay, so James Olin, just for the record, launched like Knights of the Old Republic 2, Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age. He was like a big part of 2000s Bioware. So there's going to be a lot of the DNA there. Tim Miller is one of the big heads at Blur Studio, which is like one of the coolest animation studios out there. Blur did all of the Halo remake stuff. Pretty sure they did. Is Blur does a lot of cinematic trailers for games. Did they do? They don't. Yeah, Love, Death, and Robots is Blur. That's right. That's what I thought. God dang. Which means, are they also involved in? Are they also involved in Secret Level? Yeah, they do Secret Level too. A stupidly talented group that makes really good looking stuff. So this is a heavyweights in here.
Exodus franchise. We're also having a special guest star, the guy behind Secret Level, Tim Miller.
Okay,
It is my honor
could have just waited. I'm sorry.
to be here as a longtime friend of James, and we've been working with them on Exodus for a while.
I heard.
I did not know that Blur was involved with Exodus. Like, how many times can they up the hype for this game? Oi.
We may have something else here. So how about we see some world premiere gameplay from this game?
How are we doing on sound levels? And boost it up for you guys a bit. Oh, he was on KOTOR.
Preparing to transfer now. This is your last chance to bail, June.
Do it.
It might just be because it's the only real sci-fi RPG I've had a lot of experience with, but this looks a lot like Mass Effect to me too, just in terms of the way the effects look, the environments, the enemies. I get a lot of Andromeda and Mass Effect. I want to say maybe even Mass Effect 2 more than 3.
Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
I love a group of people with different motivations. Like, clearly this isn't a game about getting rich. It would be nice if your whole group wasn't just like, let's save the world, let's solve the mysteries. I'd like to have some back and forth with your crewmate about what's actually important in the moment, you know?
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired. Many thanks again for your help. You should have been honest.
Dude, these scenes always get
For
me.
your help. You should have been
Like, these people look way too similar for this to not be some kind of time dilation thing, right?
honest. This place is forbidden.
This was the teaser trailer. I think they have some regular gameplay to show in a bit here.
That's what it means to be a traveler.
Yo, the bears and the animals are actually a pretty interesting part of the lore. It's like full-on intelligent consciousness just put
This game has an interesting
into bears. It's either consciousness put into animals or animals that are elevated to the level of consciousness and intelligence that we have. Either way, they're just like actual partners and parts of society. It's pretty crazy.
more interesting kind of subname to it. So what exactly is Exodus and what are the travelers?
The entire setting is based around the Exodus from Earth, and it's also something that we've called the journeys that the traveler makes when they are going off to other star systems. Now, the traveler is essentially what the player plays as. They're very influential people because they're like tip of the spear on technology, but they're also the people who are making political decisions and societal decisions that impact how the world is going to evolve.
Yeah, there's an element to them too that's elite, and it's special to be a traveler, and so we really want to celebrate that in terms of the growth of the player throughout the experience that players will have.
One of those things that they explained to me early on, that you have these disparate worlds all spread out, and they all have different levels of technology that sometimes extremely far apart, but they don't necessarily help each other. It's not like there's one humanity and everybody is moving towards a singular bright future. It's very.
This is the kind of stuff I was talking about lore-wise. The background of this game, lore-wise, just opens it up for so much good stuff, way beyond a game. Like, this is definitely not just going to be a single game.
Competitive environment. So these, especially like the new humans that are just off the ark, that just arrived, they're put on backwater worlds and they have to go scavenge other technology to bootstrap themselves into this new society, which is pretty cool.
I love a strong
Who
bear.
are we going to be playing? Who was your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for June? Was it based on someone or something in particular, or do you guys have, what is your vision for this character?
Dude, good
It's
for
kind of a
Co-Carnage.
complicated question because June has to have a personality. There's a lot of acting that goes into all those scenes, but at the same time, June has to be your character. The choices you make kind of help define who June is as a person. Where did June come from? I don't want to say this because all my writers would murder me, but Indiana Jones times Paul Mahdi, Paul Atreides, because
wow.
June has the serious task of, leading their world, but they're also a fun person, as you can see in the clips there, and they're also going on adventures. So it's kind of that combination.
And he or she has an incredible backstory that we will reveal at some time. And Tim helped us create that story too, that we'll share once the time comes.
With this trailer, we're seeing all sorts of new things. We're seeing enemy types, we're seeing new environments, most importantly, we're seeing how the player interacts with them. What approach are you guys taking with this game? What's going to be, not necessarily the minute-to-minute gameplay, but what's going to be our more overarching style of gameplay?
Punching bears
We're
in the
kind of
face,
doing,
obviously.
what we know best, which is
We know how to beat up bears. I love how they just keep showing this scene of like abusing this bear in the background.
We're kind of doing what we know best, which is while you do go on missions, and those missions have lots of optional areas that you'll be able to explore, you can decide how you want to explore the missions, like which ones you want to go on first, and how you're going to explore them. And then there might be things that you do on your home world that unlock stuff on missions that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Yeah, so it's very much similar to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age Origins. That's the
These are all
model
games he made.
that we have gone with.
I'm not just here to
I'm just making this. Dude, this very well might be spiritual BioWare forming. Like, this could be where it finally ends up. It would be so crazy to see this game come out the same year as the new Mass Effect. I wonder how terrified BioWare is by that. By the possibility, because we've seen more of this game than Mass Effect already, but we saw Mass Effect first. So EA, dude? They must be shaking.
look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
How is our character going to be progressing? Are we going to be like really specializing June to do something, or is it going to be more of like kind of just complementary to what we're doing already? How are you guys approaching that?
Progression for us takes a multitude of forms. Like, we look at choice in several different levels. So there's sort of the choice in terms of how you approach minute-to-minute gameplay, and we give some options in combat that we think players will like in terms of how they deal with different scenarios and fights that they get into. But the choices they make across, the bigger parts of the story lead to manifestations back in places like your home world in the game that we think will be unique, and those affect both more the immediate term in terms of your loved ones and your companions, but then those choices also impact and resonate across much longer periods of time. And it's through time dilation, like we've said, that is really the way that we're able to achieve that. But if you look at the choices in terms of the player's going to make in terms of their personal progression, it takes the form of a couple different things. There's progression for your companions. There's progression for you, where you can make choices in terms of your skill set.
To be quite honest, I hate leveling up companions. I always auto it.
And the abilities that you have. And then, without going into too much detail, we've talked about a little bit about the way Livestone works in the game and the way what you see the player using in their gauntlet. There's some progression there that's pretty cool too as well. That's a unique feature of the game that we think players will like.
You also get to unlock different technologies according to how you use the remnants you bring back. Just imagine if Indiana Jones had to choose how to use the Ark of the Covenant. Do I use it as a super weapon against the Nazis, or do I bring it back to the US and use it as a font of knowledge to help the country become better? Like, you'll have companions who have different opinions on it, and you have to decide. And then you go on an exodus, and you come back, and you get to see what your decision did. And also, you might have some weapons that weren't available before.
Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
He's like, yeah, who the f*** are you, dude?
Burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
What can we expect from the companions? Is it going to be
To make each other rich?
the kind of thing where there's a couple people with us, or are we going to have like a team? And how far are you guys really wanting
two companions on a mission? Let's see.
to go?
What's it going to be?
Well, you have a team. You don't bring your entire team on every mission. You have two team members with you on every mission.
It's Mass Effect,
and
dude.
Your companions, you're going to be able to do a lot with them. You will have a relationship with every single one of your companions. You're going to be able to romance some of your companions. You're going to have your companions are sometimes going to be at each other's throats as the story progresses.
Cool.
You're going to be choosing to follow some companions' advice over the others, and that might rupture your relationship with those that you didn't side with, and your decisions are going to have huge impact. So there'll be there's a lot of relationship stuff there that's going to happen that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and the slate of them overall, we think is really going to be compelling. We've introduced two that you can see on our website, and if you look closely at the trailer, you'll get a glimpse of a few more. But there's more to come, and not to be the constant tease, but ultimately that set of things that we have available in this universe to deliver through the characters and through the companions specifically that you'll play with, we think is pretty cool, and it's a nice part of the IP. Also, some of the companions change radically depending upon some of the choices you make. It's because with time dilation we can just, if you leave a companion behind, imagine all the changes that they can go through.
Yeah, dude. See, I think that's what we're seeing in the trailers here. Like, there's so much here. There's so much potential, which I know is a little triggering for some people. This is such an exciting game. And also, last time we went over this, we talked about how there's a book. I know some of you started picking it up since that time. I haven't yet, but I would love to hear what you guys have been thinking so far, because I've heard some good things. I keep hearing good things about, like, everything I've heard about this so far has been good, which is interesting.
For them,
Except for the faces. The faces are a little bit weird.
Be a decade, which also makes the artist crazy because it's like they have to like, okay, so we just can't do this companion. We have to do the companion 10 years older. Oh, and maybe even older.
They gotta get a wheelchair now.
Many thanks again.
Okay, so this I didn't pick up. This is probably another one of these animals with the consciousness. Like, there's the bear. The frog also is probably really freaking smart.
Again for your help. You should have been honest.
Tim and Blur are going to be showing off today because it's like the secret level episode of Exodus. And
right on.
It really focuses on what time dilation.
Which is out now, by the way. Is it out right now? Can people go watch it?
Yeah, it is. It's out right now.
Chad is saying not only is it out, I've heard a lot of very favorable things so far already.
There you go.
Good job.
Nice.
Very, very cool.
I love that story. I happen to have personally wrote that one. Of all the 15, that was the only one I was super involved with every day. And it's based on a Jack London story that I really love called Odyssey of the North that was a love story that takes place over 20 years or so. And we switched it to an Exodus friendly universe. But it just seemed very apropos because for the hero in that story, his love remained unchanged, but his love interest changed greatly.
God bless you, Tim Miller. I'm so glad, so happy for what their company does.
And it felt like it fit Exodus in a really interesting way. So if you're going to steal from the best.
Nice.
Yep.
Been seeing a lot of questions from chat. Is it single player?
Bastion,
or
you're going to
co-op?
downgrade from sassy to cheeky?
Perfect. I think you mentioned this earlier, but what platforms are we going to be available on?
Characteristic.
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Awesome. Somebody asked, if I like Mass Effect, how hard will I like your game?
Really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. Okay, there we go. Do you know what?
Drew Carpition, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, who's
I think that's an appropriate soundbite. Let me just see if I got that.
really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard.
I don't know when I'm going to use that, but
really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard.
I love this thing. All right, let's continue.
Drew Carpition, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, who's anyway.
So maybe even ultra hard. Thank you, James, Chad, and Tim. It is
Is that another one I got to save? Maybe even ultra hard. So yeah, they've got like creative director, general manager, lead writer, all from Mass Effect. Clearly it's inspired by Mass Effect. Actually, I don't know if general manager, he came in a little later, I think, than the other two. But it's got a lot of Mass Effect vibes. Clearly they're focusing heavily on character development. I mean, above all RPGs, it sounds like this might be one of the most character development focused games we're going to find, because that time dilation thing is such a core part of the game. I am very excited to see where this game is going to go outside of the combat aspect of it. They're talking about politics. They're talking about relationships. They're talking about things that, kind of funny, I think both those two things are things people like really hate seeing in their games at times. But I think that's what makes RPGs most interesting. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Leaf, you were right. I thought this was going to have some more gameplay, but it was just a little bit of the live stream. I'm guessing this was this a little bit from the DM, the D&D stuff they were doing recently? I don't really know. Either way, we will be covering this regularly from here on, probably at least monthly. I'm sure they'll be releasing news drops on it. And like I said, with those casual videos on the main channel that I'm going to be doing, you'll see some about Exodus too. I'll probably release a couple about other space games. The whole point of those games is to give us more time to make things that don't take as much time, so you guys get more info. Either way, hope you liked this little look at the game thus far. On to the next one.